Discover the miraculous faith lessons of Job, 40 days of divine transformation in God's plan. In the land of Uz, during the days of the patriarchs, there lived a man named Job, blameless and upright, who feared God and turned away from evil. He was a figure of immense wealth, a blessed patriarch, with 7 sons and 3 daughters, an abundance of livestock, and a multitude of servants. Job was a righteous man, esteemed in his community, known for his acts of piety and regular sacrifices to Yahweh on behalf of his children. As he offered his daily sacrifices, heaven resounded with a different conversation. In a hallowed moment, the accuser, known as Satan, approached the throne of God, seeking to challenge the righteousness of Job. Does Job fear God for no reason? He taunted. Have you not blessed his life with protection and abundance? It was a challenge to the very heart of faith and integrity, a dark whisper that sought to expose the fragile foundations of devotion. God, in his wisdom, allowed Job to be tested, granting Satan permission to strip away his blessings, yet instructing him not to touch Job himself. Within days, calamity overwhelmed the once flourishing life of Job. Raiders stormed his fields, robbing him of oxen and donkeys. A windstorm wreaked havoc upon his home, collapsing the roof upon his beloved children during their feasting. In an instant, tragedy struck, taking away all Job held dear, leaving him with nothing but his anguish and faith. Amidst his mourning, painful sores erupted on his skin, pricking his conscience and amplifying his suffering. Yet, through the tears and despair, Job cried out, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord." His faith, though tested, did not falter nor diminish in the darkness. As he grappled with his afflictions, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, 3 of his friends, arrived, intent on offering counsel. But their words cut deeper than his wounds, echoing a belief that Job's suffering was a result of hidden sin, a misunderstanding that cast shadows upon his character. If you were truly innocent, God would not allow this suffering, they contended, growing bolder with their accusations. Job's heart sank as he wrestled with the implications of their arguments, yearning instead for understanding and clarity. In deep lament, Job sought to lay his case before God, imploring, "Show me my transgression. If only I could speak with the Almighty." His cries pierced the heavens as he struggled against the silence of God, feeling abandoned amid the tumult of his life. The weight of unanswered questions bore down on Job, while the storm inside him raged. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. With the debate spiraling around him, Job's understanding began to shift. Could it be that God's ways transcended human comprehension? Just as inexplicable as his suffering were the divine mysteries yet to unfold. As the winds howled and dark clouds gathered, a tempest approached, heralding the moment when the voice of God would break through and reveal a plan beyond Job's wildest imagination. In the midst of the tempest, as the storm raged on, Job sat upon the ashes of his life, his heart heavy with grief and confusion. The voices of his friends echoed in his mind, swirling like the winds that whipped around him. Why do the righteous suffer? He pondered. What sin lies hidden in my heart? Yet, amidst the chaos, Job clung to the one truth he knew: he had walked in integrity before the Lord. As the winds howled and the clouds roared overhead, a profound stillness enveloped Job's spirit. He closed his eyes, seeking clarity through prayer, beseeching God to reveal his purpose. "O God, do not hide your face from me. I yearn for your truth, I burn for your wisdom." With each desperate cry, he felt the weight of heaven pressing down upon him, as though all creation awaited a response. Then, from the midst of the storm, a voice like thunder spoke, "Job, gird up your loins like a man, I will question you, and you shall answer me." It was the voice of the Almighty, resonating through the darkness, piercing the silence that had settled in Job's heart. Job trembled at the sound, for he understood the weight of the moment. Who was he to argue with the Creator? I am but dust and ashes, he murmured, the realization of his place before God's majesty flooding his mind. Yet God continued, unveiling the grandeur of his creation. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? Each question bolstered the intensity of the encounter, leaving Job to ponder the infinite wisdom of God. As the voice of God flowed, revealing the secrets of the cosmos and the depths of the ocean, Job realized his own frailty. The mysteries of life and suffering loomed larger than he could comprehend. He saw the unfathomable glory and sovereignty of the Lord, encapsulating creation's order and chaos alike within his omnipotent grasp. Overwhelmed by the revelations, humility washed over Job like a river. I uttered what I did not understand, he confessed, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. His heart swelled with repentance, and his spirit yearned for the righteousness he once possessed, now tinged by despair. The whispers of his friends faded, overshadowed by the clarity of God's voice, yet, even in Job's brokenness, a golden thread of hope began to weave through the fabric of his soul. God was not absent, he was present, teaching Job the depths of divine wisdom and the power of unwavering faith. There remained a purpose hidden in all his suffering, a future that God would surely unveil. The Lord continued to speak of the creatures of the earth, how they were crafted with intricate design, how he cared for the sparrows and adorned the lilies. With each revelation came the assurance that Job had not been forgotten nor forsaken. With divine assurance, the Lord wove his truths into Job's heart, whispering promises of restoration and renewal. As the storm began to quiet, a seed of understanding took root within Job. The voice of God, once a thunderous challenge, now became a source of comfort. Though questions lingered, Job sensed the magnificent thread of God's sovereign plan weaving through the tapestry of his pain and loss. The tempest may have passed, but Job stood on the precipice of a deeper understanding, aware that the unfolding of God's glory was not finished. What mercy awaited him, and what trials yet unspoken lay in the path ahead. For beyond the storm, beyond the rhythms of suffering, a greater revelation was yet to come, securing his hope in the promise of restoration from the God who knows the end from the beginning. Job's heart prepared to embrace the divine unfolding that awaited, for even in the depths of anguish, there shimmered the light of a new dawn. Would he be ready to receive it? Then the Lord continued to speak from the whirlwind, his voice like the crashing of waves against the shore. Shall the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him. The atmosphere was charged with divine authority, and Job quaked, knowing he stood at the edge of mystery. Who are you that I should be silent? Echoed the Lord, the earth itself trembling beneath the weight of his words. The heavens seemed to hold their breath as Job, filled with awe, prepared to respond. I spoke without knowledge, forgive me, O Lord, he declared with a voice trembling yet earnest. I have not understood the fullness of your ways. The Lord then spoke of Behemoth, a creature of great strength, crafted by his hands, stating, Look at the mighty one I have made, as I made you. Can you tame him? Who can approach him or subdue him? With each revelation, Job found his own insignificance against the majesty of God's creation, as he saw that nothing was beyond the Lord's control. Do you know the time when the mountain goats give birth? Do you observe the calving of the deer? The Lord's questions poured forth like a river, revealing the intricate details of life that God had ordained. Every moment of every creature reflects my purpose, every heartbeat is under my gaze. Are you not greater than they in my sight? Job, overwhelmed by the depth of God's care and command over creation, felt the crushing weight of his previous lamentations. I repent, he cried, in dust and ashes. My words have been hasty and my understanding clouded. Oh, how small am I in your vastness! With humility igniting a renewed spirit within him, Job shifted, his heart no longer tormented by despair. As the Lord continued to unveil the wonders of creation, Job's soul began to discern a glimmer of hope. He saw beyond his suffering to the promise of divine purpose woven through his trials. Look at the ostrich, the Lord expounded, stripped of wisdom, yet she leaves her eggs on the ground, trusting that I provide. Yet even she knows not the pain of her children. With each creature, the Lord affirmed that failure and folly were part of his design, yet his instruction wove through each life, no matter how humble or majestic. Job's heart began to beat in rhythm with the creation that surrounded him, and as the storm subsided, he felt a peace descend like the cooling rain after a drought. God's sovereignty appeared not as a capricious dominion but as an earnest guide to life itself, yet, a holy anticipation stirred in his heart. Beneath the surface of all that had been revealed, Job sensed the heartbeat of a greater plan. What course shall I take now, Lord? He pondered, aware that hidden within the layers of divine will was a path to restoration, not only for his life but for the people surrounding him. And then, the Lord turned the narrative of suffering back towards Job. I will not remain silent forever. In the depths of this crucible, the gold of faith shall arise. Know this, your journey has wings, and I am the wind beneath them. Even as Job grasped the radiant truths revealed by God, an unsettling revelation bubbled within him, crafting the very essence of hope. For there were trails yet to traverse, and lessons still to be learned in the depths of pain and the heights of joy. As the dawn's light broke through the remnants of night's tempest, Job knew his story was only beginning. For what awaited him was not just restoration but a revelation of God's plan beyond all understanding. Would he be prepared to embrace every fragment of grace yet to unfurl? The sacred silence that followed seemed to whisper an answer. Indeed, greater trials will reveal greater glory. Then the Lord spoke once more, and his voice resonated like the rumble of distant thunder, sending ripples of both dread and reverence through Job's soul. Shall the clay say to the potter, "What are you making?" Or shall the thing framed say of him who framed it, "He has no hands"? The weight of God's questions bore down upon Job, urging him to reflect upon the divine artistry that shaped not only the universe but also his very being. Consider the hawk, the Lord prompted, who soars high in the heavens, and the eagle who scours the land for sustenance. Is it your knowledge that guides their flight? Is it your hand that upholds their nest? Each inquiry from the Almighty was a reminder of the intricate network of creation, woven with threads of providence and grace. Job felt his heart swell with gratitude as he realized that within the vastness of God's design, even he had a purpose. Behold the lion, the Lord declared, and the fierceness of its roar. Who feeds the raven when its young cry out to God? They seek their food, yet, they do not trust in their own works. Job's spirit awoke to a dawning awareness that in every creature's need, there lay a reflection of his own reliance on the Creator. In his trials, he had been like the raven, yearning for sustenance but forgetting the provider who never forsakes his own. Yet, as the Lord revealed more of creation's patterns, Job's mind spiraled to the depths of his present anguish. Why, O Lord, must suffering accompany life? He dared to ask. Silence momentarily enveloped him, a divine pause pregnant with weighty insight. Then came the reply, gentle yet firm. In your suffering, there is a fellowship with the divine. Just as my son bore the cross, so too shall you carry your troubles for a time. And in this trial, the world shall see the light of faith shining through the cracks of your brokenness. Job trembled at the revelation, as his heart began to grasp the profound layers of God's purpose. Could my affliction serve as a testament to others? He mused. The thought felt overwhelming, yet a flicker of hope ignited in the depths of his soul. O Lord, grant me the strength to endure and the grace to find joy even in hardship. With renewed determination, Job dared to ask the Lord for wisdom. With all the questions that encircle me, teach me how to breathe faith into despair. Show me how to find a song in the silence of suffering. The heavens appeared to bend closer, as if listening intently to Job's supplication. Then God replied, For every trial is designed by my hand to sharpen you like iron upon iron. What prepares you for the promise also enables you to testify of my faithfulness. In your darkest valley, I shall be your light. Indeed, Job's heart stirred with understanding a transformation in the midst of tribulation. How miraculous it was that the depths of sorrow could lead to the heights of his glory. As the clouds shifted and the sun pierced the remnants of darkness, Job suddenly sensed that the tapestry of his life held more threads than he could perceive. This struggle is not futile, he whispered, glancing at the horizon where light began to break through. It dawned on him, perhaps my suffering sings of a story far greater than myself. Thus, as the dawn arrived with promises anew, Job awaited with mounting anticipation. What further revelations awaited him? What would the Lord unfold next in the grand narrative of his divine plan? The echo of heaven lingered, instilling within him the hollowness of spiritual thirst. There are greater wonders yet to come, for my love never fails. Then Job remained still, consumed by the weight of God's words. The dawning light began to illuminate the landscape around him, revealing the contours of his desolate surroundings, yet within him, a new landscape was forming, a realm of hope and resurrection. The winds whispered through the barren trees, a chorus of nature echoing the questions and answers exchanged between Job and his Creator. As he pondered those words, he felt his spirit being lifted like an eagle riding the thermals, soaring towards the heavens where God's promise awaited. Shall I now see the beauty of your design in every aching moment? Job asked within himself, as tears streamed down his face. Is there purpose nestled in my sorrow, and will the world behold your glory in my endurance? In this sacred contemplation, Job felt the brush of a heavenly whisper and unearthly peace that enveloped his weary heart. It was as if the very breath of creation joined him in his prayer, urging him to open his ears and heart to the deeper mysteries of his suffering. The Lord spoke again, Job, be still, for I will display my wonders through you. Each trial is a fading shadow against the great light of my presence, and in the depths of tribulation, I shall weave a testament that speaks to all the generations. As Job listened intently, he recalled the tales of his ancestors and the trials they had faced. He remembered Abraham and Sarah, who had waited long and endured hardships only to become the forebears of nations. He remembered Joseph, whose brother's treachery turned into a divine orchestration for salvation. His heart quickened at the thought that the unfolding of his story might echo theirs. Perhaps my suffering is but a thread in the vast tapestry of your redemptive plan, Job murmured. Yet, Father, where is my place in this vast expanse? How shall my name be remembered, or my pain be honored? In due season, all will be revealed, God assured him, his voice a gentle balm. Your trust is a sweet offering to those who has lost hope. I am crafting a narrative of faith that will resound through the ages. Fear not, for I oversee the path you tread. Job's resolve solidified within him. He would no longer allow despair to cocoon him in darkness. He would rise from the ash heap of his grief like the phoenix reborn, declaring the steadfastness of his Lord. In my heart, I will plant the seeds of your faithfulness as you cultivate joy in my soul, he vowed. I will sing, even in my darkness. Days began to blend like watercolors across a painted canvas, and as time passed, Job experienced both the depth of his sorrow and the richness of God's grace. Friends, bewildered by his steadfastness amid pain, would come to question the source of his hope. Job, how can you still bless the name of the Lord? They would ask, their faces betraying disbelief. He would smile softly, his heart embodying the fervor of heaven, and respond, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. My Redeemer lives, and I shall see him deliver me. In his declarations, seeds of faith were sown as others witnessed courage bloom against human despair. A vision began to form in his spirit, an understanding that his life would reflect an unwavering trust designed for others to follow. He yearned for the moment when the clouds would part, and the light of God's promises would break forth with healing and redemption, and so, the days stretched on, each moment an opportunity for divine revelation forged in the crucible of suffering. Yet, all the while, Job felt an undercurrent of something vast and uncharted, a mystery tugging at the edges of his soul. What greater purpose lies yet beyond the horizon of my pain? What divine chapter awaits to be unfurled? The Lord's voice echoed back softly, like the gentle ripple upon a still lake, Hold fast, my servant, for my plans are deeper than the ocean and wider than the skies. Soon, you shall witness the unveiling of a magnificent story, for the time is drawing near for my promise to be fulfilled. As the sun sank low in the sky, casting long shadows over the land, Job found himself momentarily alone, for his friends had wandered away in deep discussion, their hearts still wrestling with the enigma of his faith. At that hour, silence enveloped Job, wrapping him in a comforting shroud as he continued to seek the Lord with steadfast determination. Speak to me, O Lord, he whispered into the stillness. Let your voice fall like rain upon my parched spirit. I long for understanding to bloom where despair once resided. And in that sacred space, he felt the presence of God drawing near, much like the cloud that led the Israelites through the wilderness. The earth beneath him responded, trembling gently as if acknowledging the fervency of a heart laid bare before its Creator. Job, my beloved servant, came the Lord's voice, echoing like thunder yet soft as a summer breeze. Your faith stands as a monument to my unchanging nature. I see the depths of your soul, and I hear your cries for understanding. Feeling a surge of strength, Job steadied himself against the weight of the revelation. What of my trials, Lord? Will they see the end of my days in ruin? Will my story end here in the dust? Behold, the Lord replied, your suffering shall not be in vain. The night sky holds stars that shine brightest against the backdrop of darkness, and so too shall your trials illuminate the path for many. You are not merely a witness, you shall be a vessel of my wonders. Job marveled at the depth of this promise, as if chains of despair were falling away, clattering to the ground like stones in a brook. Then I will wait, Lord, he affirmed. I will wait for your hand to move. For I know my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand upon the earth in the latter day. With this renewed fervor, Job reflected on the stories of others who had gone before him. He was reminded of Moses, who stood trembling before Pharaoh, yet through God's might, led a nation to freedom. He envisioned David, who faced Goliath with a heart full of faith, and how the small stone took down the giant. He realized that each trial endured, each prayer offered in the night, contributed to the grand narrative. Lord, I embrace whatever you weave into my life, Job declared aloud, his voice now ringing with boldness. Let my losses form a bridge to eternal gain. May my words reverberate in the hearts of generations yet unborn. The heavens darkened, clouds gathering as if in anticipation of the great work to come. Job, emboldened by the promise of God, stood resolute and unyielding. From within his being surged a new understanding. There lay a vast horizon before him, a celestial expanse filled with divine purpose. As the storms gathered, Job turned to his friends as they returned, their faces illuminated with curiosity. Why do you mourn with me? He asked them. Let us instead ponder the wonders of the Lord together. His purpose shall unfold through my trials. His companions paused, the weight of doubt still upon them, and they observed the transformation taking place in their friend. For in Job's words echoed a revelation that made them yearn for the God who restored. Indeed, one of his friends mused, perhaps there is more to this than we have perceived. Could it be that through this suffering, Job, you are becoming the instrument of God's grace? Hold fast, dear friends, Job encouraged them, exuding unfaltering hope. For the shadows of despair will give way to the light of his mercy, and what we understand in part, we shall one day know in fullness. As night fell, stars flickered to life in the velvet sky, shimmering above, a reminder of promises kept and destinies woven over time. With a spirit ignited by faith, Job gazed upward, sensing that a magnificent chapter was unfurling before him. Let us watch and marvel, he spoke softly. For the dawn of revelation approaches, and with it, the unfolding of a grand design within the tapestry of our suffering. As the darkness deepened, the stars twinkled with a promise, and Job's heart stirred within him. A renewed sense of purpose enveloped him, as if he could almost hear the whispers of the heavens beckoning him to rise. He understood, in this moment, that his suffering was intricately bound to the narrative that transcended his own plight. Gather close. He called to his friends, who stood with elation mingled with trepidation. The Lord has spoken to my heart. His wisdom leads us to understand that this is but an instrument in his grand design. Eliphaz, the eldest, stepped forward, reflective as the moonlight bathed his face. Job, your words hold weight we cannot ignore. But how shall we comprehend the depths of this pain? How can one discern the good that lies beneath such trial? Indeed, Bildad echoed, for words seem hollow when feeling overwhelms the spirit. How do we find conviction in such unbearable suffering? Job regarded them, his gaze fierce yet gentle. Brothers, look not upon the misery alone. Recall the trials of Joseph, betrayed by blood and sold into servitude. Yet even in the pit, he rose to great heights and led his kin into refuge. It was through his despair that the lives of many were preserved. So, too, shall my struggles bear fruit. Zophar, with furrowed brow, was struck silent, contemplating the weight of Job's words. The gathering darkness spoke of God's timing, and an inexplicable anticipation filled the air as the silence lingered, each friend forging anew the bonds of their fellowship. In the stillness, Job drew closer to the ground. Let us offer our cries to the Almighty, let us seek Him in prayer, together. For the righteous shall cry, and the Lord hears. He delights in the faith of those who dare to trust His unseen hand. As they fell to their knees, the atmosphere shifted, a tangible weight of divine presence coming upon them. Job, leading the fervent prayer, cried unto the Lord. O God, who knows the inner workings of our hearts, illuminate our path. Reveal yourself through our trials, and grant us strength to face the storm. Suddenly, the wind began to stir around them, filling the night with a low hum, like the voice of angels echoing through the corridors of the earth. The air thickened with a divine presence as if creation itself awaited God's mighty declarations. Then, as though answering Job's supplication, the heavens roared, and the clouds swirled violently above, an otherworldly light breaking forth. A flash illuminated their surroundings, casting long shadows against the ancient stones. In that moment, all fell silent, the weight of the divine stirring their hearts. Be still, Job spoke, his voice cutting through the heavy air. Do not fear. For the Lord is about to reveal the splendor of His ways. Just then, a gentle voice, like a whispering breeze, poured forth from the heavens. Job, you have cried out for understanding, and I shall reveal what it is I am performing not only upon you but amongst the nations. You are being forged into a vessel, shining with my glory, that many may see and turn to me. In awe, Job rose, his heart stirred by the grandeur of God's design. The stirrings of hope within him surged anew, intertwining with his trials. His companions felt the tremor of truth vibrating in their very souls, as the dawn glimmered on the cusp of the horizon. Can we comprehend the depths of His sovereignty? Asked Eliphaz, the truth dawning within him. No, Job breathed, but we can trust Him. And in our trust, we will discover a hope that begets strength. Await the unfolding of His plan, something greater than we can see now. And with that, as dawn approached, a profound understanding lingered in the air. Job now understood the path ahead was not solely for him but intertwined with the hearts of many throughout generations, for as the sun began to rise, the world would witness the convergence of glory and pain, a beautiful tapestry woven by the hand of the Almighty, revealing the mysterious depths of His unfathomable purpose in the crucible of suffering. As the first light of dawn broke upon the land, it painted the earth in hues of amber and gold, illuminating the weary faces of Job and his friends. They rose from their knees, their spirits kindled by the radiance of hope. Job turned to his beloved companions, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. Let us not forget this moment of awakening. The Lord has bestowed upon us a vision of His unwavering faithfulness, yet the trials are far from over. What awaits us in the days to come may yet unravel deeper than we can fathom. Eliphaz, spurred by the urgency of Job's words, looked into his eyes. You speak wisely, Job. Yet, the burden of your suffering weighs heavily upon your flesh. Have we not seen the calamities inflicted upon you? Why must you endure further? Job clasped his hands, a serene expression crossing his features. Though the road stretches before me fraught with uncertainty, I shall not let despair take root. For as it is written, though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him. Job 13 verse 15. This trust is the anchor to my soul, for my Redeemer lives. In the golden glow of the morning, a cloud of heaviness lifted from their hearts, and hope threaded its way through despair. Bildad stepped forward, emboldened. Yet, Job, what if your righteousness has not shielded you from the calamity of the Lord's judgment? What then shall we say? Calamity can be a teacher, Job replied thoughtfully, as we see in the words of the psalmist, before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep your word, Psalm 119 verse 67. Let us consider our trials as opportunities to draw closer to the heart of God. As his companions regarded him, transfixed by the wisdom emanating from him, Zophar raised an eyebrow, the dawning realization of Job's journey beginning to settle upon him. Then let not our discourse lead us to lose heart, for even in struggle, the depths of our faith can give rise to a foundation that is unshakable. As if answering their debate, the winds whispered again, rustling through the leaves around them, carrying with it an ethereal resonance that made the hairs on their arms stand on end. "Hear, my servants," the voice reverberated once more, rich with divine authority. "I have plans for you, plans to give you a future and a hope," Jeremiah 29 verse 11. "What I will reveal in due time shall neither be lost nor overlooked. Stand firm." At that declaration, Job felt the weight of God's assurance pressing upon him. "Brothers," he spoke with fervor, "understand that our gathering here is a sacred providence. Each of our lives plays an integral part in the unfolding story of redemption. It is not only for our benefit that we endure, but also for generations yet unborn, who will glean wisdom from our walk through the valley." His friends nodded, a newfound conviction blossoming within them. Eliphaz, his voice quaking with fervent belief, offered a prayer for clarity. "O Lord, awaken our hearts to perceive your ways. Help us walk steadfastly, even when the road is shadowed by doubt. May the suffering we bear yield fruit for your kingdom." As they clasped hands, a bond was forged among them, unified under the banner of unwavering faith. Job's heart swelled with the assurance that none of their trials were in vain, they were seeds planted in the soil of eternity, and as the sun ascended and more light broke forth, they turned their eyes toward the horizon. Unbeknownst to them, above in the heavens, divine plans spun intricately. For as Job's story unfolded, a greater purpose loomed, one that would echo through the ages, the story of a suffering servant who would come to bear the sins of many, echoing through the prophetic whispers of the ages yet waiting to be fulfilled, for the trials of Job were but shadows, pointing to the brilliance of grace yet to be fully revealed. What shall be the unveiling of his great mercy? They pondered, an eager anticipation rushing through them, unaware of the tapestry God was weaving through pain into a masterpiece of redemptive love. As the sun continued its ascent, casting radiant beams across the land, a profound silence enveloped Job and his friends. Each moment felt heavy with significance, as though the world stood still to behold God's unfolding will. Job turned again to his companions, his eyes alight with fervor. "Brothers, let us consider the nature of our trials. Might they be the potter's hands shaping us into vessels of honor? For it is written, 'But now, O Lord, you are our Father, we are the clay, and you are our potter, we are all the work of your hand,' Isaiah 64 verse 8. In our suffering, the Lord refines us, even as gold is tested." Bildad, his brow furrowed in contemplation, leaned forward. "But Job, how will this refining reveal the goodness of God when our flesh cries out for relief? When do we find solace in our pain?" With unwavering resolve, Job replied, "Solace comes in knowing that our Redeemer lives and that he stands with us in the fire. As it is written, 'For I know the plans I have for you,' Jeremiah 29 verse 11. Each wound we bear is not devoid of purpose, they are threads in a tapestry of divine design." Eliphaz, bolstered by Job's words, added, "Let us seek understanding, then, and bend our hearts to prayer. For the Lord promises, 'You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart,' Jeremiah 29 verse 13. May our cries ascend to the heavens, lifting this burden we carry." And so they knelt once more in prayer, the flames of faith igniting anew. In the midst of their supplications, a wind stirred, knocking leaves from the nearby trees, as though the very earth responded to their plea. The air crackled with divine energy, and suddenly, the silence of the surrounding world seemed to burst forth with vibrant life. "Fear not, my chosen ones," the voice resonated through the air, rich and omnipotent. "For I am with you, I shall strengthen you, I shall help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand," Isaiah 41 verse 10. The divine message struck their hearts like a bolt of lightning, reviving hope where despair dwelled. Job's heart leaped within him, for he sensed the intensity of God's presence. "Brothers, hear the promise of the Lord. In our anguish, he is not distant, he walks beside us. The trials we endure are shaping us into beacons of hope for others who walk this path of sorrow. Zophar, emboldened by Job's bolstering spirit, stepped forward. Then we must proclaim his faithfulness not only among ourselves but to a world that lies in darkness. As it was written, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, John 1 verse 5. We shall carry this flame forth, declaring his magnificence. With fervent hearts stirred to action, the 4 men rose, resolved to share their testimony with all that would listen. The promise of deliverance began to take root not only in their hearts but rippling outward, like the first buds of spring emerging through the winter snow, and yet, as the morning drew near its close, God's purpose loomed larger than their understanding. For the whispers of heaven bore witness to the suffering lurking beyond their sight. A far-off salvation awaited, crafted for the redemption of countless souls yet to come. What shall unfold as a result of this refining? They pondered, their hearts racing in anticipation of the greater plan, an intricate design unfurling through seasons of testing, leading them to a promised land of hope yet unknown. As the sun rose higher in the sky, driving away the morning shadows, a profound stillness enveloped Job and his friends. Each of them sensed the divine weight of what had transpired, an awakening to the truth that stretched beyond mere understanding. Job, once burdened by despair, now radiated a light born from the depths of suffering transformed into resilience. The Lord's voice echoed in the air. Your faith has been tested like gold in the furnace, and from the very ashes of your sorrow, I shall bring forth beauty. Job felt the profound truth of these words wash over him, illuminating the path ahead. He realized that his suffering was part of a sacred narrative, a thread woven into the tapestry of life that would echo through generations to come. Indeed, O Lord, Job exclaimed, captivated by the overwhelming grace that enveloped him. You have turned my mourning into dancing, and my despair into hope. You are the God who redeems. As Job embraced this newfound purpose, his friends gathered closely, each heart stirred by the transformation they witnessed. Eliphaz spoke first, his voice filled with awe. If such glory can emerge from tribulation, let us not shy away from our own sufferings. They are the crucibles of new beginnings. Zophar nodded, declaring, yes. Our pain is not without meaning, it is the forge of faith that countless souls will draw strength from in the future. Bildad, his heart swelling with hope, added, let us rise as a testimony to God's unwavering goodness. For we are vessels, meant to carry his light into the deep recesses of despair. As they spoke, the winds of change stirred, swirling around them with a palpable energy. Job felt deeply connected to both his friends and the divine, a symbiotic web of faith interlacing their destinies, but God's promise was only at its dawn. Job, as you rise from the ashes, there is more yet to unfold, came the voice of the Almighty with the gentleness of a summer's breeze. Your suffering shall bear witness, and healing shall flow from your trials. You will intercede on behalf of those who come after you, for through you, many shall know me. At this profound revelation, the weight of divine purpose rested heavily but beautifully upon Job's heart. I will be your testament, Lord, he declared, eyes shining with renewed vigor. I will declare your faithfulness, I shall sing of your mercies and of how you lifted my eyes from despair to glory. Let us journey forth. Job called to his friends, enthusiasm bubbling within them like a bubbling brook. We cannot keep this truth to ourselves. We are embers that ignite flames. Let each soul we meet feel the warmth of God's love emanating through our stories. Compelled by Job's conviction, they traveled throughout the land, sharing not only Job's trials but the light of hope that had risen from the depths of darkness. They spoke of faith unshaken even in tempestuous times, weaving their words into the fabric of lives touched by suffering. As they journeyed, lives were transformed. Those once steeped in shame found solace in Job's confessions, grasping that their trials, too, were instruments of grace. As they witnessed Job's unwavering spirit and his indomitable faith, hearts were stirred, and many turned back to God, realizing that in the depth of suffering, there indeed lay a treasure of divine purpose. The world around them responded as hope blossomed like flowers emerging after heavy rains. Streams of life returned to barren lands, and barren hearts were filled with the fruit of faith. The people sang songs of liberation, and from Job's story emerged a legacy not just in his own life but echoing through the ages like the ripples of a stone cast into a quiet pond, and in due time, as the seasons turned, God restored Job's fortunes. He blessed him with beautiful daughters and sons, and his wealth was multiplied beyond his past abundance. Each blessing reflected the unassailable truth that God had walked with him through the valley and had brought him forth, a vessel of honor. Truly, the Lord's plans cannot be thwarted, Job declared. Surrounded by family and friends who reveled in the abundance of God's mercy. For from deep sorrow, he has ushered in joy, and through lamentation, he has woven a narrative of hope that shall never fade. As the sun set, casting a warm golden hue across the horizon, Job sat with his loved ones, gratitude flooding his heart. He understood now that in every tear shed, in every prayer uttered, a larger narrative was at work, a divine author crafting a story of redemption, suffering, and unfailing love intricately bound together. In a voice filled with reverence, he raised his hands, whispering a prayer of thanksgiving. Though I have walked through darkness that seemed unbearable, my Redeemer lives, and I shall tell the world of his goodness all the days of my life. As the stars sparkled above, testifying to the faithfulness of God, Job knew his trials would live on not just in his own experience but as part of the legacy of faith passed down through generations. The promise of restoration, woven together with suffering, had birthed a profound understanding of the God who walks with his people, illuminating their paths with divine love. The story of Job became a parable of eternal hope, echoing through the generations as a testament to the truth that our God is the author of life, weaving tales of redemption through every heart, every trial, promising a future filled with hope and light. Join us now, dear friends. Subscribe immediately to the channel and immerse yourself in more powerful biblical stories that stand testament to God's transformative work. Don't wait another moment, press that like button to help spread the light of God's word through the algorithm. Share your thoughts and spiritual reflections in the comments, your stories matter. And share this divine testimony with at least 5 friends who need to know the truth of God's redemption. Seize this moment to illuminate hearts with the eternal hope that transforms all who believe.